Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Trilby's Notes. Last time, we were able to get out of that alternate reality hotel because of some tranquilizers that were left to us. But we will be making trips back there, and it's not going to be pleasant. So yeah, anyway, we also got a view back in time of Defoe Manor and of that idol that caused all the evil to happen in Defoe Manor. Turns out the idol isn't as old as it seems like it should be. It was found on a slave ship, so keep note of that. I was frankly astonished that Matthew Defoe's painting had survived the immolation of Defoe Manor. Someone had stuck a piece of paper under the frame, perhaps for me to find. It was a page from a religious book I wasn't familiar with. I here enclose it with these notes. Victim 5. The Child. The fifth man who desired judgment was the child, whose father held the carving of the slave. The prince came to him, and was once rightly pleased with what he found, for the house of the child and his father already knew well the name of the king. And as the prince watched, the child was thrown down by his father, and broken with the wood of the prince's soul. But as the child's body, mind, and soul began to drift apart, the prince held them together, and he said, "You are the child, and to you I grant power, for I see in you the potential that will grant my father, the king, his greatest wish. You shall be not of the land of technology, nor the realm of magic, but of both, and thus you shall form the bridge. And across the bridge the king shall come to bring his message to the men of technology. Through you, child, the bridge will come, and thus I name you the bridge keeper." And the prince touched the child, and he was the bridge keeper, and his three aspects were granted power, so that his soul would join with the prince's soul in the wood of the tree. And the bridge keeper rose up and threw down his father, and threw down his brother, and truly did they know the name of the king. And into the house of his father went the body and the mind of the bridge keeper. That's creepy. So yeah, unless you didn't know that John Defoe was beaten to death with that idol. And somehow that fulfilled a prophecy or became part of some twisted scripture, but I guess he's known as the Bridge Keeper. Interesting. So let us find where that piece of where that ship came from. Oh wait, I don't want to go there. I want to go up here. So let's see, we can just head right on up. And I believe, oh, there we go. Can't head behind the stairs. Let's take a look. The hallway was decorated identically to the majority of the dorms in Klein Bronwyn Hotel, warmly and pleasantly. The circular white heat sensor presumably tied to the hotel's fire safety systems. Oh well, not important. The door at the far end was colored differently than to the others. A note read, "Emergency fire escape access. Do not attempt to force. In the event of fire, door will unlock automatically." So yeah, that door is locked to us, but with this fire detector here, if we make it think there's a fire, we can perhaps unlock it. Why we want to do that? Well, you'll just have to see. Let's match on detector. This was, oh, that's because I forgot to do something. Whoops! So I believe wait, did I get? No, I didn't get the matches. I don't know why I thought I did. Alright. Yeah, they're right here. Whoops! Look, counter. The searching desk was a cheap pine of fare and unadorned with papers or materials. Someone appeared to have left a matchbox on the desktop. There we go. Get matchbox. Okay. Actually, there is something I want to show you. Let's see. Can I get out of here? Alright, So let's actually do some exploring outside for a bit. There's a hotel, and there's a path we can follow. Wait a second. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is not what I wanted, but yeah, if you try to, get away, this is what happens. It goes in a loop, and it doesn't always end up like this, but sometimes it can. And it says, Clabony Hell. Hey. Though its exterior was corrupted as the interior, the ground beneath my feet was hard, red, and gritty like desiccated clay. Anyway, let's take pill. I took another pill. Now the thing now, when you take a pill, it won't work right away, but it'll only work when you go into the next room. This is actually going to be very important to remember. So I took a pill, and now everything's normal. So it doesn't work right away. This is actually going to be of benefit to us later on. Alright, so... What the? This is not what I wanted. This is the opposite of what I wanted. This is... Oh, jeez. Father, why? Father, why? Father, why? Oh, and nothing's working. Oh, my goodness, okay. I'm guessing we kind of took the point of view of John Defoe's brother, because remember what that scripture said, that the bridge keeper, who was John Defoe, killed both the father and his brother. Ugh. Oh, jeez, okay, and that's fire. Like the fire we set to the... Oh, this game does a really good job of freaking you out. Pushed my way through the door and descended the fire escape. And we can go back here. It was probably used for garden maintenance, tool storage, that sort of thing. And an old iron crowbar was the only tool being stored at the time. Crowbar is always useful. I took the crowbar with me. Perhaps it could serve a purpose. Alright, and that's all we needed. Climbed back up the ladder and entered the same floor I'd come from. Okay, so this will be useful to us. Thought I was going to die there, didn't you? That's what I thought. Makes it seem like you need to do something, but you can't do anything. Oh, this game is so genius. Alright. Okay, oh. Ugh. And we're back here. So yeah, you can see after going through a few rooms, this is going to inevitably happen. Now in the real world, I was going to test this out, but I didn't get to. This door would be locked. And it's blocked off here. Could hardly get the door open with these 3 wooden boards holding it shut. So that's why we have a crowbar. Crowbar is very old. I doubt it possesses necessary strength to do that. Oh. Ooh, a bar on boards. There we go. So I suspected the stress proved too much for the ancient crowbar, which was bent to uselessness. I discarded it. Okay, open door. And there is nothing of use behind here. Judging by the smell, this room had probably not been ventured into for years. Desiccated corpses lay mangled in the ceiling, left to rot by some warped interior decorator. Ugh. Yeah, let's get out of here. Now, as I said in the real reality, whatever, the normal reality, like I said, that door would be locked, but we need to get into there. However, we get into there in the evil reality, there's nothing in there for us. So what you want to do, take pill, open door, and here we are. There's no other way to get in here. So that's an interesting little puzzle, very clever. Professor Jahal's antique show was as sparse as a small venue would indicate. A couple of tables were laid out with various trinkets, and a charred rocking chair was the centerpiece. Now, Professor Chahal was saying something about a chisel with the name of the ship on it, but let's look at the chair. An involuntary shudder went through me as a recognition dawned. It was the same chair from the living room in Defoe Manor, the room I had opted to sleep in for those 5 days. Sit in chair. I couldn't even bring myself to go near it. It was pretty certain that John Defoe's influence was gone from the objects in this room, but still my irrational fears frustrated me. I don't know, you saw what happened with that painting, so, yeah. Look, table. On the display tables, I recognized 1 or 2 Defoe Manor artifacts among the miscellaneous knickknacks. A set of manacles, rescued no doubt from the manor's basement, stood out the most. I spotted the chisel the professor had mentioned next to the pile of books on the north table. Let's look. Manacles. They were blackened, but still recognizable as the manacles from John Defoe's basement prison. Ugh. Take manacles? If anything would retain some of John Defoe's malevolent power, those manacles would. I refuse to touch them. Alright, so we have the chisel up here. And I'm betting those books are from the manor. It was a very old make of chisel, rusted and probably very fragile. As the professor had described, the words Sea Angel were carved into the handle. Again, I found myself inexplicably drawn to the artifact. My fingertips were already extending toward it, as if drawn by a magnet. Let's do it. A loud buzzing played in my ears, and my vision began to cloud as I reached over and laid my hand upon the tool. Somewhere in the Atlantic, July 25th, AD 1789. Mumbuta had been a great warrior. In battle, his skill was thought unmatched in all of Africa. He had respect, a great house, a slew of beautiful women, and children to make any father proud. But through just one mistake it had all been torn away. His mistake was in standing by his beloved king when the invaders from the coastal kingdom arrived. Now his great house was ruined, his women raped, his children murdered. And for Mumbuta, the worst fate of all, sold to the white men in exchange for weapons, shackled with his fellows in the hold of a slave ship. Mumbuta was strong. Perhaps he could have lived as a slave, but then came the sickness. A simple fever, but no doubt to be gone the next day, but the white men took no chances and threw him overboard. For days Mumbuta drifted, waiting for the black cloud of death to descend. Having lost everything, he now sought only the embrace of the deep, a welcome end to a life betrayed. But the end did not come then. Come around, Captain. Voices unfamiliar speaking an unfamiliar language. Mumbuta was suddenly terrified that the slavers must have returned, but he was weak as a newborn and could not move or speak. Looks like we picked him up just in time. Don't know how he's been drifting out here, but he can't have lasted much longer. Good Lord, look upon it, men, the greatest evidence we have of humanity's inherent evil. Never forget that men, sailors such as you or I, did this, left this poor wretch to die. Slavers aren't sailors like you or I, Captain. No, I do not know how those devils can have the audacity to still call themselves human. Today there is no pride in being an Englishman. Find our new passenger some quarters, make him comfortable. These are some nice guys. Passenger, Captain. Every innocent who steps foot in my ship is a free man. Is there something about this policy you find questionable? Not at all, Captain. No, these were not the slavers. The ship was different, less crowded with terrified black faces. There was anger in the voices of the white men, but not directed at Mumbuta. Still frightened, but somewhat reassured, Mumbuta passed out. Days passed, and Mubuta's health was restored. To have been rescued by the ship of these good white men had been a fantastic stroke of good fortune. He decided that it had been the will of the gods that he should survive, and that proper thanks would be in order. An idol, that was the answer. If he could find some suitable wood and a sharp blade, he would carve the finest idol of his life. That's odd. Wasn't that a professor from the last flashback saying that the idol was of a design that came from a tribe that was wiped out? So that must be Mabuta's tribe. The Sea Angel was a small clipper built for speed and the fast delivery of cargo. It was late in the evening and there were a few crewmen on deck. What happens if I try to look at inventory? How could I Trilby? Okay. So now we are playing as Mabuta. I didn't understand the word men. There were several crewmen tending to the ship scattered around the deck. Despite the language barrier, Mabuta could tell they were friendly and cordial. Hey, isn't that man working with a chisel? There were several crewmen tending to the... Oh, okay. Talk, man. Mabuta could not understand the white man's language. Any communication would have not been nonverbal. Little jolly boat was here, apparently undergoing some repairs. Okay. Chisel? Perhaps Mabuta should try rephrasing that. Take chisel. Mabuta died, he could have taken that with him. Okay, let's see. Okay, I know what you have to do here. I just don't know how you, like, if there's anything else, but you have to point to chisel. Alright there, laddie. Oh, I see you want something to carve with. Here. The sailor handed Mabuta a sharp, almost brand new workman's chisel. Just bring it back when you're finished with it. So I guess you just assume that he's working with a chisel, because I was trying to, like, make it so that you knew that there was a chisel, knew for sure there was a chisel there, but oh well. Anyway. So what can we work with? O'Malley shipping. A large crate was sitting in the shaft of light with letters stenciled on that Mabuta did not recognize. It was cheaply made with poor quality nails and some of the boards looked ready to fall off. Well, if some of the boards fall off of this, perhaps we can use that. With the chisel and the wood of the crate, Mabuta could finally create his offering. After several hours, Mabuta was very pleased with the result, a fine rendition of his kingdom's god of fertility and good fortune. All that remained now was to return the chisel. O'Malley shipping, we might want to remember that. So yeah, there's the idol, so the evil that was inside the idol had nothing to do with the idol itself. Interesting, the idol was made later. Or I'm assuming. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying not to... Oh! It hurts. It hurts. Oh. This is... Oh, no. The vision faded, and I felt myself being hurled forcefully back into the present day. That tall, thin creature, that black-clad ghoul. What was its significance to my predicament? Why did it appear again and again throughout history to spread death and horror? There was no connection to the idol's shape or Mabuta's tribal deities. The tall man was no fertility god. It must have been connected to the wood of that crate somehow. There had been a name on that crate. Mabuta hadn't been able to read it, but I, looking through his eyes, had. O'Malley Shipping. Could the owner have been an ancestor of Siobhan? It was a flimsy possibility, but at that point, my only lead. I resolve to discuss this with Siobhan at the earliest opportunity. And more paper. Ah. I recognize it being from the same source as the one under the painting in the lobby. Victim 4, the slave. So we have 5 victims and we're going back in time, so there's going to be at least 3 more after this. The 4th man who desired judgment was the slave, who had not been brought Freehorn's message, and who tormented the wood that was the prince's soul with a sharpened blade. That's an interesting thing. The wood that was the prince's soul. So that wood is what has significance, not the idol itself. Anyway, the prince came to him, and he struck the slave down, and he knew the name of the king. And the prince said, "Not one of your household shall I leave alive. Slave, for thrice now have I brought my warning, and any who still fail to heed shall be named as a fool and judged most unworthy in our sight." Well then, so we now have another lead to find out the origin of all this evil. But will Siobhan be able to help us with this next clue? You're just going to find out next time on Let's Play Trilby's Notes. Thank you for watching and have a good day.